Welcome once again to your weekly update from the city of New Hope. And joining us once again is Mayor Kathi Hemken, back with us and back with snow, Mayor.
Well, I'm optimistic. We have a structure snowman contest coming up. I'm optimistic. Actually, the golf course looks pretty brown at the moment.
We'll talk more about that contest a little bit later and talk about the golf course as well and how they're actually starting to get ready for some golf, maybe. Let's, though, go over some things happening around the city. And one big thing this year is it's a year of elections, and there's already some absentee voting going on. Remind us what that is.
Well, the primary is March 5th. And so when you go to vote in a primary, you have to declare whether you want a Republican ballot, a Democratic ballot, or I think there's a couple other parties you can get the ballots for. And that's what this primary voting is all about. So you can go to City Hall between 8 and 4:30, Monday through Friday, fill out a form. If you're not registered, they'll get you registered. You'll get a ballot. You put the ballot not in the official counting machine, but in a ballot box that's there. And so they'll have expanded hours as we get a little closer to the election on this. And then on election day, of course, you can always go to your polling place. And how you find your polling place is to go on the Secretary of State's website and put in your address, and it'll tell you where you're supposed to be voting if you wait that long. But if you don't want to wait, you can always vote at City Hall between 8 and 4:30, Monday through Friday, now until about the 5th.
And there you
Or
see the
actually, the 4th is the last day you can vote that way.
Very good. And there you see the website there to the Secretary of State. So if you want more information about your polling location, or obviously City of New Hope's website, newhopemn.gov can help you out. Now to community development, a number of items to cover here as the city is very busy as we head into late winter, early spring. First is codes and standards. We've talked about this, Mayor, a few times, and there was a list that they were looking at, and that list has changed a little bit.
Well, we have all these ordinances, and every now and then something comes up and they need to be tweaked a little bit. And when the tweaking happens, it goes back to codes and standards, which is a subcommittee of the Planning Commission. So there were 8 things they were looking at. 2 of them they thought were just fine. The other 6 needed a little tweaking. So what happens is then they send that back to the community development staff, and they will try to add that into the ordinance, and then it'll come to the city council. We'll vote on these, whether or not to accept that change, and then it'll go back and be part of the ordinance if it's accepted. So it's a long process, but things as simple as the definition of a fence, and whether or not we can have trade schools in the industrial area. Things that just need to be clarified so that they're very clear to everybody that's reading them.
We'll keep you up to date on that. Next item is recently a little video was taken up at Hennepin Technical College. That's because they are in a great partnership with the city of New Hope. Mayor, remind us what this is and what we can look forward to.
Well, we needed new street banners. And so we did this before. And this time we went to Hennepin Tech, just like we've done before, and had the students do the project. One student came back with some drawings that we liked. So we accepted them. So then now we're having they're printed, or they're having them printed, and then we put them up in the spring. The kind of fun thing about that is CCX came and interviewed the professor and the student and some of our staff about this project, because it's really kind of neat when the city cooperates with a college to do this kind of project. So once we know that that piece is going to come on, we'll announce the times for people to be able to see it.
Curbside appeal program. We've talked quite a bit about that, and the interest continues to be strong. We have another resident that's very interested.
We're up to 25 that have applied for this. This one is getting a new front door with windows. So it's a good program, and it's a good way to update the curb appeal of your house. It does not include anything inside. It does not include the backyard. It simply includes things that are curb appeal. And I'm just kind of warning people that they really must submit the plans to community development and get it okayed before they have the project, if they're expecting to get a 25% refund on that.
Couple more items related to housing in the city of New Hope. The first is the single family conversions to rental. A number, Mayor, you keep us up to date on. What is the latest?
Well, they go back and forth. So this month in January, well, last month, 2 single family homes converted to rental, and one rental converted back to single family. So we keep this running total. We know exactly where the single family homes that are being rented are out because they have to have a rental inspections done on them.
Scattered site housing, one property to update on. And if you have driven by 42nd and Boone, you have seen the great work happening. It does look like a house now. What is happening there?
Well, it looked like it stalled for a while, but actually what was happening was the builder wanted to make sure if we had a buyer ahead of time, that they were able to put the things into the house that the buyer might have wanted. But now he's finishing up on that, so it's been listed at 466,000. And I don't know who the listing company is.
All right, more information again on the city's website about that and also about this next topic. It is the Business Networking Group. There's a event coming up on March 6th. Give us some details.
Well, that's at 2:00, and it's going to be at St. Therese. I want to remind people that St. Therese has a assisted living building and a nursing home building. So this will be at the 8,000 Bass Lake Road in that building. And the Business Networking Group is always free. It's Crystal and New Hope together. A lot of changing of ideas happens at those meetings. So they're really kind of fun. And who's ever hosting gives you a little update on what's happening with their business.
Use of occupancy permits. We continue to keep a look on those and some busy times this past month or so and last week. And also at one particular building in the city. Tell us about that spot and some of the new businesses that residents can visit.
So we had 6 occupancy certificates sent out. And 5 of those 6 were at 4124 Quebec. So that's the building right across the street from the YMCA, the big white building, and they must have had some littler businesses come in there. And of course, whenever a business comes, they need to apply for the occupancy certificate. So lots of stuff is going on in that building.
Let's hop to the police department, give residents an update of some of the activity there. And it sounds like the chief has been busy both inside the building and outside the building. What other partnerships is he involved in?
Well, before I tell you about that, I want to tell you just a little bit about Arizona Tacos.
Oh, yes, okay.
They were doing some remodeling, and now that's finished and it's been approved by the city. So if you like Arizona Taco, now's the time to go because they've remodeled and expanded a little bit. So now the police department, the police chief meets with Hennepin County chiefs on a regular basis because we all have the same issues. It's really nice to all be able to talk about them. So he met with them, and then he also meets with the Hennepin County attorney, Mary Moriarty. Not just him, but all of the chiefs meet with her. It's just so important that they all are talking to each other, that they all know what's going on, and they've all got the same answers at the same time.
Another neat part that the city's involved in is the peer support team. Remind us again what that is and tell us a little more about that recent meeting.
Well, we have not only police officers, but the support staff in the police department, and they go to a training meeting on a pretty regular basis. It's important that the staff in the police department and the police officers all support each other, and that's what this training is all about. So we're pretty excited that they're getting in there to do that.
Couple other community-related activities with the police department, Meals on Wheels and defensive driving. Help us understand what went on recently with those.
So they continue to deliver Meals on Wheels. The people that are getting them are now asking for the police officers to bring them. So it's kind of fun to be able to do that. And it's good for the officers to see people out in the community whenever they can. One of our officers taught a 4-hour defensive driving class as part of the Park and Rec program. So the officers are doing a whole lot more than just police work.
And let's move to Public Works. They're doing a whole lot more than plowing snow, right? Because no snow to plow, but they are keeping very busy. What are a couple of the activities that have happened over the past week?
Well, I have really good news. We only had 1 water main break last week. Part of it is when the temperature is so nice and mild like this, we don't have those. And sadly to say, when it gets really cold, that's when we have the water main breaks, and they're so busy. So when they're not doing that, they're making sure their equipment's ready to go out and snowplow when they need to do that. They're also doing some tree trimming and just some other things that they would normally do in the fall or the spring. This weather is such that they're getting that stuff done now.
And you wanted to provide residents an update on the Public Works facility. This would be phase 2. Again, remind us of the work that has been done and what might be coming up this summer and fall.
Well, our Public Works Department really needed to have a place to put our big equipment. And what we were doing, we were storing our salt and sand indoors because it has to be kept warm. And the equipment was outdoors. So we expanded the building. This was phase 1. Built a new building to put the sand and salt in and put our equipment inside where it really belonged. We had a few things we needed to fix in that Public Works building. So now the phase 2 is starting. We've looked at the plans and specs on that and approved that. So they have to do some background work, like they have to read this because it's stuff I don't understand at all. So they erosion control installation and demolition of footing installations. So they will start that now in April. In April.
Right.
And then they'll start building the facility sometime in the summer. They should be done by fall of 2024, and we'll have a nice updated Public Works Department.
We'll keep residents up to date on that progress.
Just one thing I want to mention, we promised when we built City Hall and bonded for that and the pool that we would not bond for 10 years. And this was done from money that we have saved and just some money that we got transferred in from other departments that are using Public Works. So this is not a bonding bill that we had to go through to do this. This is money that we put aside to do this project.
Let's hop ahead to Park and Rec, and this is an important piece of literature that you might want to have handy if you want to find out Park and Rec things going on. And if you turn into page 12, there's lots of information right here, this colorful part about spring break. It's coming up and parents need to think about it. And there's some fun offerings in the city.
Well, March 24th and 25th is spring break for the kids. And a lot of times, parents are working or they don't know what to do with these kids while they're on spring break. We have these camps. And the camps are, there's numerous camps, and it's for anywhere from grade 1 to grade 7. And they don't put them all in the same camp, of course. So look on page 12, find a camp that looks like it makes sense, and get the child enrolled in that. And that enrollment is going to happen pretty soon. Also want to point out to people that they can get scholarships for these camps. So that it kind of helps take away some of the burden of kids going to these camps during spring break. But take a look at page 12 of that brochure and see what there is in there.
Very good. Another popular camp is the safety camp that happens every summer. And what is happening right now? You're really thinking ahead.
Well, we are. Safety camp is a big deal. We usually have about 75 kids that sign up for this. And for 3 days, they get presentations from different areas. They'll learn about electricity. They'll learn about swimming. They'll learn about bike riding. And we have to get presenters for all these things. Keeping 75 kids occupied for 3 days takes a lot of presenters. So they're in the process now of getting those presenters in line so they have safety camp ready to go when it starts. So keep an eye out for when that signing up is going to happen.
Very good. A lot of prep items happening in Park and Rec, as you might imagine. And the next is the summer brochure. That is moving right along and will be out soon.
Sometimes it's hard to believe. Here it is February, but it takes a long time ahead of time to get all that done. So they're working on that. They figure it'll be at the printer the end of this month, and it'll be in your home sometime before the first or second week in March. So look for that. But the programs that we're talking about today are in the winter brochure that they should be signing up for.
All right. Another item for spring and summer is you need umpires and field attendants. And so the search is on already for those individuals.
Well, the first thing we do is we contact all of the field attendants and the umpires that we had last year and invite them back. And then after we figure out how many more we need that either didn't come back or for some reason we need more, then we'll go out and start advertising for them. But again, it's a long process. It seems awfully early to be doing that, but before we know it, it'll be spring.
Park and Rec staff also working on the trees with the emerald ash borer. What is the latest there? What can residents expect and maybe do themselves in the coming months? So
what the forester is doing, he's marking the trees now that are on commercial property on the boulevard. And so those will be marked. I don't know if they're going to be taking any more down yet this year. We have just approved a contract with a company to do that, but depending on the weather, it's up to them if they think they can do that. And so he's also working on the spring planting schedule. So it seems easy, but if you're having the plan to come out, you want all the houses that need trees in an area to be together. So there's a lot of coordination that goes on with him trying to get that planting schedule done too.
Well, here's a neat event that is back and was very fun last year. It is called the Black Light Dodgeball. Mayor, sounds like great fun to us. What do people need to do to get involved?
Well, it's February 23rd, which seems not too far away. And I guess the sign up ended on the 9th of February. But if you're interested, I think you can call Park and Rec Department and see if there's still any openings. Now, this is open to 7 to 10-year-olds. They're in the gym. They have black lights playing dodgeball. I did find out that they need more volunteers to do this. So if you're a parent and you volunteer to be part of this, your child gets to play for free. And only one child per family, and one volunteer per family. But it's really a fun thing to do. The kids get a big kick out of that. And this is a good way to get people to volunteer and help out.
Another item in Park and Rec is they have a phone line. It's the 311 line that they monitor on a regular basis. How is this used and what are they responding to?
So if you have complaints, requests, compliments, you go into 311 and put that in. So it's anonymous. You don't have to tell anybody. You can just put that in. If you do leave your name and number, they'll get back to you. So they've been busy trying to get all those requests and all those complaints and compliments recorded before it gets really busy in the spring.
Let's hop over to the golf course, talk about some of the activity there. And again, it does look very different than behind the mayor right now. There's actually things going on and planning going ahead. What happened recently and what are they prepping for?
Well, we had a Valentine luncheon. It was a lot of fun. They served lunch and then they played bingo and they had prizes and just being inside the clubhouse with the fireplace going and no snow, but we do what we can. I understand that the winter golf went off was fairly successful. They actually took spray paint and spray painted the lanes. People were hitting a tennis ball with a golf club. I guess it was pretty funny, but no snow. I kind of like snow and I like the banks. So my golf ball or my tennis ball can bounce off the banks, but we do what we do with what we have.
Right.
And it went over very well, I thought.
Let's hop over to the ice arena to talk about some of the activity there. One season wrapping up, but some other younger skaters still at it.
So the wrapping up is the high school kids. So they had a few games and they've got some playoffs, but they're just about done. And I think they're probably done this week. So that means that Friday is open skate as well as Sunday this coming week. Also, the youth hockey is still having practices and they still have games. And of course, the dance program is still going on like it always does. And the last thing is the skate school.
Right.
So they have an exhibition on the 16th of March from 12 to 1. It's free. It's at the ice arena in the South Rink. It's really kind of fun, especially if you've gone year after year and you see how much these kids improve from one year to the next. I've been going for 16 years, so I've seen little kids who could hardly stand up being very, very accomplished skaters now. So it's really kind of fun to watch them grow.
March 16th, 1 p.m. or I'm sorry, at noon over at the ice arena. Hope you can stop by to the aquatic park. Some activity already happening there as they're looking forward to an ice season.
So the first thing we do is we call back all the people we had, lifeguards, people that were doing the food, everybody from before. And then if they want to be back, we're doing some interviewing for some leadership positions. And then after that, we'll know how many people we need from the outside to come in addition. So that interviewing and that looking for candidates to do that. If you're looking for a summer job, it's just a fabulous place to be all summer. This is a good time to think about gift certificates. You can go to City Hall and get a gift certificate. It can be any amount from $5 on up. If you're looking for something to give your child or your grandchild, it's a great way to kind of cut the cost a little bit for the parents to do that and instead of giving them something they don't really want, this is something they do want. and they can look through the book that comes out, the summer program book, see all the fun stuff, and they can pick something out, and it's not quite as expensive if they have a gift certificate. So now's the time to get those.
Let's hop ahead to human resources. A few things happening with hiring and also posting of positions. The first position that was hired is the treasurer and the city clerk. Tell us about that individual internally that's moving up.
Well, our 35-year city clerk has indicated that she needs or wants to be done. So she'll be retiring, but she said she wouldn't retire until we had somebody well-trained to take her spot. This is a very, very valuable spot in the city. So we posted it internally. We had enough internal candidates to actually hire from within. And we hired Andrea Feeney, and Andrea was an accounting technician. So she'll start training with Valerie Leone in the city clerk job, which now means that we have to go and hire a new accounting technician. So again, we'll have to do it internally, see if anybody, we have to have at least 2 internal candidates. If we don't have 2, we'll go to the outside to look for that accounting technician. So it all takes time. We'll get there. We're just really excited that we can hire from within. It always is better to do that if we can.
Another position the city's been working on is housing and code enforcement inspector. How is that process moving along?
One of our inspectors left us, went on leave, and so we went through MinSpec, which is a company that gives out inspectors that you can hire. So they're all trained. They just do the temporary stuff. Well, he has taken a job somewhere else, and so we had to go outside to look for one. And we actually got a couple applicants, and we did some background check, and we picked one. His name is Chris Audette, and he will start on the 4th of March. So we'll have a new code enforcement inspector coming on.
And other positions will be coming up available within the city, and those are in a couple of key departments, Public Works and Park and Rec. What's the variety of jobs there, and how can people find out more?
Well, we hire summer staff, and so we need a total of 8, and 5 of those 8, or I'm sorry, 6 of those 5 of those 8 will be in the Park and Rec department. So they'll be cleaning up the parks, breaking up, pulling weeds, just doing whatever needs to be done. The other 3 will be in with the Public Works department. So if you're interested in summer work, this is separate, by the way, from the pool.
Okay.
This is a separate thing. So if you're interested in doing that, we hire a lot of people who come as summer folks. And then when the summer's over, we're looking for a full-time because somebody left. A lot of people get hired that come. We do pay, it's not a volunteer job. We do pay them, by the way. And they get good experience of working for a city and a lot of different stuff to be done that's in the summer.
Very good opportunity to get your foot in the door. Now, a few other final notes to pass along in this update with the mayor. The first is the drive-up utility box. It is now at City Hall, and I understand being well used.
It is. So we had a utility box at Public Works, but with the expansion and all the other stuff, it didn't make any sense. And we moved the utility billing clerk to City Hall. So it just made sense to take it out of there and move it to City Hall. So there is a place, a slot, like a mail slot in the building at City Hall, but it's much easier to drive up. So you have to kind of go around the whole parking lot so that the driver is on the side. If it's only one person in the car, they can put it in. Otherwise, if there's somebody else in the car, you can just pull into the drive, go right up to the box, put it in there, and it'll get into City Hall. So we're kind of excited that it's there.
All right, we want you to think way ahead to the month of April now. And the reason we mention it now is a lot of planning goes into this. This is the curbside recycling program. What is it, and why should people start thinking about it now, Mayor?
Well, yippee skippy. A lot of people have been asking.
Yes.
So it's going to happen between April 1st and April 11th. And it'll happen in Crystal and New Hope. So you'll be getting, if you're a resident, you'll be getting something in the mail that tells you when the pickup will be at your residence. It'll also tell you what they will pick up and what they won't pick up. They have to kind of restrict what they will pick up because some residents were telling their friends and neighbors who don't live in New Hope to bring their old stove. And when there's 3 or 4 stoves at one house, you kind of wonder. Well, it isn't free. The city pays for that. You also pay for that in your utility billing. So we want to make sure that the residents are well served, not the residents of other cities. So when you get that, it'll tell you how many of what you can put out. Now's the time to be cleaning out that basement or the attic and get it ready for curbside recycling. And there's also a website that you can go, it'll tell you on that website what you can put out, what you can't put out. It'll also tell you, they have something called a waste wizard. It'll tell you what you can on a daily basis recycle.
Okay, very good. hrg-recycling.com is that website. You see it at the bottom of the screen. Find out more there and find out about that date and watch for more mailings coming out. Couple final notes. State of the city. It's that time of the year once again, and you are busy getting things prepared. Tell us more about that.
Well, we did not have one last year because we were in the process of getting a new city manager. He was new to the city, so we decided it didn't make sense to do it last year. But we are going to do it this year. And what we'll do is we'll come into CCX Studios, the city manager and I, and what we're doing right now is going to the departments and asking them what has happened in the year 2023 that you want reported. And so they'll put that all together. Our communications person will give us a script. We'll meet with you, Dave, and you'll tape it on about the 1st of March,
Right.
and then we'll let people know when it will be shown. But it's really kind of interesting to see all the stuff that happens in the city in the year.
It will be a long list. Looking forward to that. Couple final notes. March 31st is the day to remember for a few deadlines. What is winding up around that time, and you have opportunities for people to get involved?
We have wonderful citizens in New Hope, and that is just evident when you look at how much they donated during our food drive and our coat drive. They also do a lot of things for their neighbors. So we have something called the Good Citizenship Award that actually came out about 10 years ago, and then it just kind of fell by the wayside. It's time to revitalize that. So you can either go to City Hall, you can go online to get a Good Citizen Award application. It's easy to fill out. You can send it back electronically. You can bring it to City Hall. We want to recognize those people that are really doing something good to help the neighbor. And it could be as simple as shoveling snow if we ever get any, or maybe helping an older neighbor mow, taking their garbage out. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It just has to be something where you're helping another citizen.
And speaking of the snow, you're still predicting snow to come, and that means people can make a snow sculpture, and that's also a March 31st deadline.
It is. I refuse to get rid of this picture behind me. I know it's going to snow sooner or later, and if it doesn't, I'm putting the summer picture back on. So we don't get fooled. It doesn't snow yet, but I'm sure it's going to snow. And as soon as it does, you can do a snowman or a snow sculpture, take a picture of it, name it, and you can email those pictures into the Park and Rec department under snowman snow sculpture. There'll be a judging for that, and we give out prizes for it. So someday it will snow. I know it will.
I think it will as well. And here's the website to find out more about both of those programs and all the other things we talked about today, newhopemn.gov. And stick with us. We're going to have a calendar of events, including some of those we talked about earlier, so you can get out and get involved in the city. Mayor Hemken, thanks again for your time. Look forward to talking to you again next week.
Thanks, Dave. See you then.
Learn more about the connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.